At this international break, we reached out to our subscribers as always and said, "Excusez-moi, have you got any topics for us?" We don't know French that well, so that was the only French bit. And James Gunn said, as many in the media were saying we won the transfer window, you should do a tier list of your opinions on the signings, how they've done so far, whether you expect them to be better, etc. Could lead to some interesting debates. For example, Wan-Bissaka. So there you go. Thank you very much, James. We've got the tier list ready to rock and roll. Gonzo, are you ready to rock and roll?
I'm loving the categories, which are anyone got the receipt, tad disappointing, as expected, better than I thought, and incredible signing. I just feel even if everyone had been exceptional, I would love to put someone in the anyone got a receipt category.
We might
maybe
do.
I
You
will.
never know.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we're going to discuss each signing individually. There's 9 of them. We've missed out Mohamedou Conte for obvious reasons, but we've got the other 9 signings here to go through. And we're going to take everything into consideration, how much we paid, what we expected of them, their performances thus far, etc., etc. And we're going to do it in positional order. So that means we're going to kick it off going, so we're your friend, League One Wes.
Well, there's no point in getting a receipt for clean sheet Wes because we didn't pay any money for him. So
Yeah, take him to the charity shop.
It's a bit like taking something back to Free Cycle. Saying, "Oi, you ripped me off here." As expected, Gio, I couldn't really. I expected him to be a backup goalkeeper that never played, and I got a little bit more than a bargain for. I saw him make a save in pre-season, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with Wes.
Yeah.
And do you know what? He seems a good guy as well, which is nice.
Yeah, I expected not to see him. I haven't seen him. I'm happy.
It's the first time we've seen him, actually. He's a lot smaller than I thought, though, to be fair.
Yeah. Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Obi-Wan, is better than I thought. And I've got to say, he is better than I thought he would be. I think he's impressed, even though he's been being played out of position. And by that, I mean he's being asked to be deployed further up the pitch than he would normally be asked to do. Most people would have told you beforehand that he is it's his one-on-one defending. That's what he's good at. He's not been asked to do much of that yet. Some of the athletic things that he does when he gets his leg like really up high to do a clearance, he loves defending. You can see that he's willing to try and block the ball with anything, even if it's a particularly, an unconventional move. It's a bit like a kung fu artist on really, where he just will, any part of the leg, if he's got to clear it with his calf or he would do a bicycle kick into row Z to clear it. That's the type of player you're talking about here. And then you've got this added bonus of him being the best left back at the club as well, which I just wasn't expecting. I was not expecting that. He looks genuinely good as a left back, which I think that is magnificent. So look, whether Lopetegui stays or goes, and I suspect he'll go because Newcastle and Arsenal are the next 2 games. Whoever comes in, as long as they've we've heard this before, but as long as they've done their due diligence, they've watched West Ham play, not just say it, then they will have noticed that Aaron Wan-Bissaka not only has played and filled in at left back, actually, he could be a really, really decent one. That means that gives you the flexibility to get the best fullback signing you can. It means if the best guy that's available is a right back, go and get him. We can stick Wan-Bissaka on the left, or vice versa. We can keep him on the right, put the other guy on the left. We don't have enough good competition for places, as was certainly the case. And I know this because when I was stood at the bar at your wedding, pint in hand, asking people who had actually seen the game against Everton, I was told that Vladimir Coufal really changed things when he came on. I thought, this is bad. But I had quite a lot to drink by that point. Better than expected is Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
I would put him in as expected. However, I'm willing to allow you to win this one. I'll put him better than I thought, because I thought he's had some good games. He's had a strong start to life at West Ham, so I'll concede this one. I think the Wan-Bissaka we've seen at West Ham is the Wan-Bissaka I've seen at Man United. Switches off occasionally, really good defending one-on-one, good dribbling with the ball. His passing is pretty strong. His crossing's pretty crap. his last-ditch tackling we've seen on a couple of occasions as well, especially against Man United in the very last minute to hook it away from Garnacho. So some really good moments from him. I thought he was poor against Everton, but he's had more good ones than bad ones at life at West Ham, and possibly the player that's been stitched up one of the most by the poor tactics and the confusing tactics, and he's been asked to do a role in which he's not suited for. But I'm pleased with what I've seen from him. I was pleased we signed him. Not convinced it was the right back for the way Lopetegui wants to play. But like you said, it doesn't mean he wouldn't be a useful asset going forward under the new head coach, whenever and whoever that is. And back to the tier list, Gonzo. And next up is someone that's going to cost us €40 million unless we get relegated, Todibo.
This is a tough one. It's not the top two. Because, I mean, this is a player of high expectation. Man United didn't get him because of the Ineos links, but they tried. Juventus tried to get him. He's played for Barcelona for big money. He got back into the French squad last season. Played twice for France. This is by all accounts somebody that is expected to be the next big thing. Big price tag as well. Is he better than I thought? I can't say he is. Has it been incredible? No. I think he's got. I'm not looking to demean him. I'm just not seeing an awful lot there that would make me want to place him any higher. Really, I think he'll be a very good player. I think he is a very good player. I think he's got really good skills. But funny enough, I used to say about a Gerd. Do you remember last season and the season before? I used to say I suspect if he was playing for a bigger club or playing a different style of football and wasn't being asked to defend all the time, you'd probably see the best of him. It's when he's got to concentrate constantly that he's not his best. I'm not entirely sure this is the best. He's not playing in the best system under the best manager for his skill set. So I think there's a lot more to see. So I'm not looking to demean him or anything like that. Yeah, maybe as expected. If not, maybe even one lower.
Well, I wouldn't be putting him in bottom two, so we'll go in the middle and put him in as expected. I think he's looked reasonably decent so far. When he first came into the team, I was a bit worried. I thought he was very aggressive and looked a bit iffy, but I don't know. There's something about him. I used when I did the player ratings the other day, I used the term silky, and I think that's how I would describe him. He looks good on the ball, and I'm trying to not get drawn in by that per se. Listen, has he been fantastic? No, but he arrived reasonably late into the window. He himself has said, I need to settle in. I need to get up to speed with things. So he's been handled gently by Lopetegui. And maybe he's one player that actually Lopetegui has got right in regards to how he's been working with him, how he's been dealing with him and stuff like that. And I think there's been some good performances from him. I expect him to get better as the season goes on, as he settles into life in the Premier League. But so far, I've been pleased with what I've seen. Not blown away. And I had some high hopes, but I was very wary of him a little bit because he went to Barcelona and it didn't work out. I thought, is this just one of these young players that has a lot of hype and then never really going to achieve that much in the game? Those things happen. Those players exist. They will continue to exist. I'm pleased we've got him. Looks good so far to me. So we'll leave him in the as expected for a different reason to Wes Foderingham. Moving on then to Max Kilman.
I guess he's as expected. But obviously, if he's as expected, we probably overpaid for him. He might even be. Yeah, you're right. He might even be better than I thought. It's just a price tag. It's a price tag, really. It's a lot of money. I'm really pleased with him. I actually think I'd love it, particularly under the right management, the right coaching. That as a defensive partnership for years to come. It is right. And I mean, I even heard whenever we released this video, to be fair, we're harvesting a few videos because it's international break and whatnot. But at the day when recording this, Simon Jordan's pretty much, championing David Moyes to return to West Ham. And I think that the longer it goes on, the more that's the case. But I think it's easy. A lot of people, when they identify this, their recollection of David Moyes stops at Prague and it's not carried on. But actually, we spent a lot of money and ended up with a real mess in central defence, really. Spent £80 million and ended up with, it's under David Moyes, ended up with a central defence which wasn't really fit for purpose. I look at these two now and I think under the right manager, Kilman and Todibo could be a really good partnership going forward for the next 5, 6, 7 years, which is obviously, what you want when you spend that sort of money, £75 million on the two players if some don't get relegated. And so, yes, it's the price. But actually, just as a central defender, I really like what I've seen. I really do. I think I'm really, really pleased with it. But yeah, you choose what one to put him in. I don't know if he's better than I thought. Possibly is.
He's there, isn't he? He's sort of like
yeah.
I'll put him in better than I thought. I'm not going to say he's like worth every penny at 40 million. I think 40 million is an obscene amount of money, and you've got to be ridiculously good to look good at 40 million. I don't think he's done that. However, I thought he was, and I still think he is, an average Premier League centre-back, and that's not meant to poo-poo him. If you're an average Premier League, you're a bloody good centre-back in the Premier League. That's what he is. However, there has been some games where, more at the start of the season, but he was man of the match for us, and he was our best player on the pitch. In some games, it was by quite some distance as well. He was comfortably the best player. And it can be easy for him. He's had Mavropanos next to him, then he's had Todibo next to him. Then you're in a back four, then you're in a back three, then you're in the back four again, but the centre midfielder's dropping in between you and stuff like that. It's probably a tough gig for him, actually, with all this. Yes, he's worked under Lopetegui before, so he knows what's expected of him, etc. However, I've been pleased with his performances. I didn't think they'd be as good as they have been so far. I thought he'd have had, basically, I think he's had some okay games and some good games, but I thought there would have been a couple of poor ones in there as well, and they've not really arrived yet. But I do think there might be an element of James Ward-Prowse-itis about this, where we went back 12 months ago and did this. I'd imagine James Ward-Prowse would be quite high on that. Whoa, this guy's looking really good. But as the season went on, his performances started to level out a little bit, and you get to the end of the season and think, actually, he's just an average Premier League central midfielder. He has some good performances and some stinky performances. It was over the course of the season, it was all right. And I think Kilman might be a bit like that come May. But at the moment, I'm happy. But I expect Todibo to get better. I'm not sure I expect Kilman to get much better than what we've seen. I think what we're seeing from Kilman is what we're going to get.
Yeah.
There's one or two other players I expect to go on and do better than what we've seen so far at West Ham. Hopefully that makes sense. Moving on then to Surfshark. Gonzo, we're going to have to put this one up at the top tier, aren't we, Surfshark? Get it in the top tier there, because not just as a VPN, but because they've got a Black Friday deal for you. So that incredible VPN, incredible security that you need for your devices has just got cheaper, and it's got even better. You still get 4 months free. If you go to surfshark.com/HammersChat, you will still get 4 months free. However, it's got cheaper because of their Black Friday deal. So you just sign up to their most popular package, which is the middle one. Over 2 years, it works out at less than £2 per month. Now, if you were to subscribe to this package on a month-by-month basis, it would cost nearly £400. But because of the Black Friday deal and because of the 4 months extra free, it works out at just under £53. Gives you your 24 months for less than £2 per month. Surfshark VPN helps protect all your devices. You only need one account to protect multiple devices. And when you're away, if you want to change your location, you can do that. Don't you worry about it. So if you fancy accessing content that's available in other countries, you just change your geolocation to that country, and ta-da, it thinks you're over there. Happy days. It continues to work regardless of which network you are on. So if you go around your mate's house, you join up to their Wi-Fi, don't worry. Surfshark VPN is still keeping you protected. Also, it helps masks your email address as well. So if you go to, say you're in a different country, need to access something and it needs your email address, don't worry. Surfshark VPN keeps that covered for you too. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you sign up and you think, I don't really fancy this, despite it costing less than £2 per month, you can get rid of it. You can get a full refund as well within 30 days. To join up, go to surfshark.com/HammersChat. Links in description below if you'd rather just click it. And the deal will already be applied to your page. So when you go on there, the deal is already active. Gonzo's been using it for 3-4 years. He influenced me, and I've been using it for 1 or 2 years. There you go. We're speaking from experience when it comes to Surfshark. Gonzo, back to the players. From top signings that we made a few years ago to signings Tim Steidten made in the summer. And next up is Guido Rodriguez.
Oh, I mean, it's a funny one, really. It's hard to say it's had disappointing because I wasn't expecting anything. He's a free transfer. I think you've got to factor that stuff in. I'm going to have to put him... He's a good player. He is a good footballer. There's no doubt about that. And in many respects, you could probably make the same argument maybe Wan-Bissaka has been asked to do things he shouldn't really be doing. I think in a team with some legs beside him, I think you'd be seeing a very, very different player asked to do a very specific job. But I think when you have no athleticism in midfield, then there's no one to cover him and what he's being exposed for. And I think that part of him has been disappointing. That I think I'm disappointed how slow he is and how he's probably not cut out for Premier League football, I think. But we've seen this before with other players. You know, they go back and they play in other countries and they play really, really well. He played for Real Betis last season. I think a lot was made about he nearly signed for Barcelona. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I'm not so sure. It's probably a good story, which has possibly been put out there by his agent. But I can certainly understand him playing for someone like Real Betis and doing well in it is a slower paced league. There's no doubt about it at all. Is he Busquets? I'm not quite sure he's exactly that. Someone else said Javier Mascherano. You know, come on, have a laugh, will you? But he's a decent player. But I didn't expect anything from him. He probably deserves to be in as expected, but I'm disappointed by that his incompatibility to the Premier League.
So which tier?
I'm disappointed. Sorry, yeah.
I think that's harsh. The thing is, I think we almost need to carve him up into different bits, don't we? We need to behead him and
then
get
rid of the legs for starters. Put some good ones on him.
I'll ask Oscar Pistorius if he's got any spares.
Imagine. He won't need them at the moment. He's busy.
Barbie heading him and cutting off
Barbie head?
limbs.
A Barbie head? Crikey, you really are taking it to a Barbie head, Pistorius legs. I think it's not even a Guido left.
I think we could almost split him into the 3 different categories here. Better than I thought, as expected, and tad disappointing. Because certainly his pace is in that bottom category. I can understand why you look at him and think that's a bit... It is alarmingly slow. When you were playing against Villa and Leon Bailey ran off and he looked like he was going backwards, he was that slow. It was a bit, whoa, hang on a minute. Fitness is an issue, sure, but I'm not sure you're going to get faster. And that was the concern. But I expected him to be back up to Alvarez.
Yes.
I thought that's what we were getting.
You're right.
However, he's done better than that. He's been next to Edson Alvarez in some games, and there may be some games he perhaps shouldn't have played, and we played him. But there's also been 1 or 2 games where he did start, and like, oh, I don't know about this. But he's done all right in them because he's clearly a very intelligent footballer. Would he have made it at Barcelona? I'm more inclined to agree that he's suited to the Spanish league than the Premier League, that's for sure. Yeah. And, you mentioned Nathan Gerd earlier, and he's having a fantastic season. Gerd's one of the best performing centre-backs in that league at the minute, so his value's creeping up every month for West Ham. So I think I want to put him in the middle category, but it's not because I expected this from him. It's just because some parts of his game he's done better than. Like I said, I thought he'd be back up to Alvarez. He's not. He's better than that. But he is alarmingly slow and perhaps not suited to the Premier League. And that part of his game is disappointing. So I think it averages out in the middle and puts him in as expected, although it wasn't as expected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, his torso is as expected, and his head is better than we thought, and his legs, we want to get our money back.
Yeah, so we'll just put him here then. Put him in the middle. Yeah. Right then, Carlos Soler.
Yeah, and anyone got a receipt? I mean, I don't know. We probably did pay a loan fee for him. I hope we don't do the.
We would have paid a few million.
Yeah, well, I'd like it back, please. Yeah, I mean, what's the point? I don't get it. I'm very disappointed by this guy. Very, very disappointed. I'm not saying he's useless. He's probably quite good. He's probably quite good at what he does. I don't bloody know. He just doesn't really play, does he? And then a couple of times he's played out of position. Apparently he did. I think he was one of the substitutes when you were getting married. And I don't mean Carlos Soler was at Gio's wedding.
Would have been
said no. Mrs. Gio would have said no. She would have taken one look at him. So I'm not marrying a Scotsman. I'm marrying a nice Spanish fella. But no, he wasn't at Gio's wedding.
I'd rather marry him and all. I think.
Quite right too. But it just. I don't know. Yes, he may not have played well. I don't think anyone played well against Everton, did they?
I thought he looked good against Everton, but the thing is, right, context is important. Everton has got to be the easiest team to play against as a central midfielder, apart from West Ham. Like that. It's not difficult to look good in centre midfield against Everton. They don't press you. They sit off. They're not that aggressive. You get 5-6 touches on the ball before you have to pass it if you want. Now go do it against Liverpool or something, and we'll see how good you are.
Yeah. Someone's snapping at your heels. I don't know. It's possibly not even any reflection on him as a player. This is where we're ranking off our most recent signings in order, in an orderly queue. And quite frankly, I've not seen enough of him to give him an accurate ranking.
That's why I'd put him in tad disappointing. The only thing that's stopping him from going in the bottom tier for me is just that hasn't really been played enough, and when he has played, he hasn't really been played in the positions we were told he was best suited to, which is the number 10/central midfield. He's played more on the left than he has in those positions. So I do feel like he's maybe been stitched up a little bit. But I still expect to see a little bit of something from him, despite being out of position, because we just should. You should be able to come in. You should still, if you're good on the ball, you should still look good on the ball, even if you are to the left of the pitch compared to the middle of the pitch, right? You should still, if you're a creative player, there's still opportunities to create whilst on the left of the pitch. Yes, you're not going to start knocking the ball past the right back and running by him if you're not a natural winger. I understand that. No one's really expecting you to. I've not seen anybody. So it was quite disappointing. Soler wasn't going to the byline and getting crosses in. That's not a criticism I've seen put to him. So has his game suffered? Yes, but I still think there's elements of his game that he should be able to utilise, even if he has been played slightly out of position. So I would put him in tad disappointing, but for your comedy, I'm happy to leave him in there. Anyone got the receipt if you want to keep him in there.
Yeah.
Moving on then, we have got Summerville and Guilherme. Is anyone in particular you wish to discuss first?
Well, I'd like to discuss Guilherme, if you don't mind.
Yeah, he's next, so that's helpful.
I'll have my money back for him, thank you very much.
Okay, right, okay, yeah.
My money. I'm quids in at the moment. I haven't spent anything, and I'm just about to, I think, get at least £23 million. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? This is a disastrous transfer. Not in the first team. All right, I know he made a substitute's appearance the other day, but generally not in the first team. Doesn't play for the under-21s. He played once, scored a goal, didn't put him back in. And there doesn't seem to be any program to enable him to advance at West Ham. So this someone's been bought blindly, absolute blindly. Nothing demonstrates the disconnect at West Ham more than this transfer. I've no doubt Tim Steidten wanted him. I've no doubt that he was one of the best young players in Brazil. Don't doubt that for a second, right? One of Palmeiras' 3 wonder kids, right? Wonderful. One went to Chelsea, one went to Real Madrid, one went to West Ham. Poor Guilherme, right? There's no pathway. So basically, the manager was never going to use him. And basically, the chairman has been, suggesting that the reason we didn't get John Duran is because we wasted 20 million on this fella. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but it ain't good. The only person that it seems really does rate him is the director of football. Well, that suggests a massive disconnect at the club, you know. I don't mind it so much. There are a lot of clubs, funny enough, Chelsea, Man City, there's a lot of them do it. Loads of them in Europe will buy a young player, a brilliant young player, but they have a program for them. They will then, you know what I mean. I'll buy them and I'll rent them out to Shakhtar or something for a season.
Rent them out.
Rent them out. You know what I'm talking about. That should be what the term is, not a loan. It should be a rental, right? That's what we got, a rental. From henceforth, that's what we're getting, right? Yeah, so we should have done a little sneaky rental up to Shakhtar or something. Antwerp, there you go. That's another one. They do that. People send their players to Antwerp. I don't know why, but do that and then get him back in a year. But there's none of that. So we got him. All right. Huh? What are we meant to do with him now? £20 million. Yeah, he may well turn out to be brilliant. We ain't going to find out at West Ham. But he'll turn out to be brilliant somewhere else if he turns out to be brilliant. Like me money back, please.
Yeah, it's as expected for me because I expected nothing from him this season. When we signed him, I said expectations are nil, hope is high. I was hoping we'd see him and he would do well, but we haven't. And I think the confusion thing is he's not playing for the under-21s. I think that's the real confusion here. If he was playing for them every game, you can say, right, like you said, development, there's something going on here. And Brighton, I keep on saying it, Brighton buy young players and then one day they magically appear in the first team. Well, there is a bit that happens in the middle, which is they go out on loan to usually to Belgium. Tony Bloom's got his team over there. They go out on loan, do the development there, then come back and they're ready. But we've sort of basically had the idea of bringing in a young player, getting them ready for the first team, but we forgot about the process, really.
That's right. Yeah, we bought some flour and now we're wondering why we haven't got a cake.
Yeah, basically, we're looking at the cooker and the ingredients going, so how does this bit happen?
Yeah, we ain't got a cooker, that's the point.
Yeah. I'm happy to leave him in the bottom tier. The reason I'm happy to leave him there is because if you said to me, you can get a full refund on him today, would you take it? I'd say probably, yeah. That's to get the 20 million and go use that money elsewhere. And it's not because of Guilherme, it's because of West Ham.
Yeah.
It's because we don't know what to do with him. He's just sat there lingering, and he looked okay against Everton. But you do feel that was just a roll of the dice. And if, not when, if there's an occasion where Guido and Fullkrug are not AWOL and not hitting people, and they're both available for the matchday squad, Guilherme won't even make the matchday squad. He won't even be on the bench. So it's quite feasible that there's weeks coming up where he plays no football and he's in no squad. He's just there at training.
Yeah.
And that's the disappointing thing, really. Moving on to Summerville.
He might be. He might be better than I thought.
Okay.
I wondered if he would be able to do it in the Premier League, and I think he will be able to. Somebody that's not been given the opportunity. But there's lots. Maybe there's lots of those. There was a very different pathway for Lopetegui earlier this season when I know just before he went batty against Tottenham, that Kudus was coming back into form. He'd scored back-to-back goals, scored the goal against Ipswich, didn't he, as well? But there was a case to be made that he wasn't really working in that left midfield role, left wing role, whatever you want to call it, in the start of the season. And there was an opportunity, particularly given Paqueta's poor form and a lot of other things, there was an opportunity there to put Kudus central, to put Summerville on the left where we were struggling for a left winger, particularly given Emerson was in bad form as well and not really working and dovetailing particularly well with Kudus. So I think we could have seen more of him early on. I think he's been quite unlucky in that sense. He's done almost every time. He's probably one of the few players that almost every time he's been played, he's done something. More or less. I'm not sure how many appearances he's made this season. But if even if they're off the bench, even if he'd made 10 appearances this season, I wouldn't be surprised if he's looked pretty good in 7 of them. And I think sometimes he's been harshly substituted as well. So, yeah, I'd like to see more. He looks like a good player. So, yeah, a bit better than expected, I would suggest.
We'll pop him in there, and I'll tell you my verdict, and we can go over this at the end. I'd put him in tad disappointing because we're evaluating a transfer here, not the player.
Yeah.
In some cases, you do evaluate the player, but in this one, I think it's a transfer as a whole. And the reason I put him in tad disappointing, he's not been used enough. I completely agree with everything you just said there about how he's not played enough. He come off the bench, he's looked good, doesn't start the next game, got subbed off a bit too easily in some games where he was looking okay. The one game where he was looking poor and he got subbed off, and it was maybe the fair thing to do because of his performance, was against Nottingham Forest, but he was playing in a stupid role that he should never have been asked to play in as well. So it was almost like, okay, he wasn't playing well, but there's a reason here, and that's because you've moved him 15 yards in field and he's now getting bullied. And he's now having a physical duel with Anya and Milenkovic rather than picking the ball up on the touchline and running at his man. He's now trying to bring it down out of the air from centre back. So it's just a ridiculous thing. So the reason I put him in a tad disappointed is because of how we've used him. You know, momentum in football can be everything sometimes. And when you bring in a guy that's just had a season like he has, and it finished disappointingly with Leeds United, but on a personal level, one player of the season, out of that squad when Lopetegui arrived, Summerville must have been the one that had his confidence through the roof. Fullkrug must have been feeling pretty good as well. Had a good season with Dortmund, looked good for Germany at the Euros. He had a good Euros. So there's some players that actually must have been quite chest puffed out, feeling good. And we've not really capitalised on that whatsoever. And I'm quite frustrated that how this has worked out with Summerville, because I would put money on it now that if everybody was available against Newcastle United, Summerville's on the bench.
Sure.
And so even though he's still playing well and still looking like our most dangerous player in the latest game against Everton, I still don't think it's enough for him to stay in the team. And that's why I'd put him in a tad disappointing, because I think good player, but not really wanted by Lopetegui. But we'll leave him in the other one for now, and we can go over it at the end. That leaves one player, Gonzo. You might not recognise him, but I promise you we bought him. It's Fullkrug.
I'd absolutely take my money back. So much. My money. Here I go again. I feel like we've been ripped off. Honestly, I feel like it's a scam. I really do. I hadn't been privy to all the good stuff. You know me. I caught on late to the festivities of the summer, and that's as England sort of progressed. I didn't start off by watching all the other teams, so I think I missed out on a lot of this stuff. Maybe Fullkrug playing well, and I was aware of this sort of hulking, gap-toothed monster who, he was quite tabloid friendly, wasn't he? But to say that I'd watched him play would be a lie. So I didn't get excited when we signed him, particularly. I didn't even believe we were going to sign him. I thought, as I kept on saying this video, I thought it's a ruse. We're doing it to say, well, I think we were doing a Willie Carvalho. I think he was doing that thing, I think we were saying, well, if you don't sell us Jerome, we're going to buy that guy. And I just think Aston Villa went, go on then. And then possibly, for Tim Steidten's connections, because he knew him, the transfer ran a little bit more smoothly than happened very quickly. So I don't know, but I do feel like we've been scammed, because I don't think he'd be here next season. I don't think I can't even picture him on my mind scoring a goal. Right? His injury record is horrendous. His injury record is so bad. When somebody printed it out, wrote it out on one of our build-up shows, you didn't believe that it could possibly be accurate. And it was. That's how bad it was.
I haven't gone and checked either way.
It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. It's since 2019. I know people say, if you're going to do that and take out the rest, but I think it's not like only using the last 2 weeks as a barometer. I think 5 years is good enough. if you're, because I think you can make the case. Well, actually, okay, so he got to his mid-20s without that many injuries, and then he got to his mid-20s, he got injured all the time. I think it's terrible. I think it's another one you could look at. Say Guilherme, Summerville, you just spoke about. Another one that doesn't really suit what we're trying to do. Another example of disjointed thinking. Nothing like Omarodian and Duran, the other two strikers we were chasing. There's a little. This group of players who we're doing the tier lists on here really do epitomise the muddled death by committee transfer strategy that West Ham have got, where everyone has a little go. Honestly, I'm surprised Karen Brady didn't get to pick a player and put one in there. Do you know what I mean? It's muddled and it's a mess, and I think no one epitomises it more than Niclas Füllkrug, and I'd like a full refund, please. It's a shame. It's a shame he's not on a rental, quite frankly, because I tell you what, it'd be a Zaza. Was that his name? Zaza?
Yeah.
Simone Zaza. Was that his name?
Yeah, it was.
Why
are you doubting it?
Because I always used to get confused with Zaha. I know Zaha is Wilfred Zaha, and but yeah, why am I doubting it? Because, well, because it's a distant and bad memory. But we didn't activate the buy it now clause in the rental agreement, so we stopped playing him, didn't we? And then we sent him back. Make no mistake about it. If that option was still there with Fullkrug now, we would be sending him back.
Yeah, I mean, I like him as a player. I do like him as a player, and I'm blindly hoping that his wild injury will get cleared up soon. He'll come back and score enough goals to A, keep us out of trouble, and B, to get a move back to Germany next summer. I agree with you that he won't be here next season. But I said this in the summer, I can't believe Dortmund have made a profit on him. They signed him at 30 years old. He had an okay season for Dortmund if you watch them in the Bundesliga as well as the Champions League. If you only watched Champions League, I could understand why you might think, oh, he had a fantastic season. He was very good in Champions League. But in the Bundesliga, there was plenty of games where he was just anonymous up front because he didn't suit the way that they played. But they signed a 30-year-old, paid 14-ish million for him, and sold a 31-year-old Fullkrug after an average season to us for 25 million. So when you say we've been scammed, we have been. You hear those stories, and sometimes I don't even know if they're true. Someone's made them up and we all just believe it because we want to. But you hear the stories of Club A were trying to sell, it's usually Man United that's on the end of it, like a club, Man United want this club's player, Man, you come along, and they're thinking, oh, we could get 20 million, we've done all right. Man, you come along, go 35 million, and go, bloody hell, yes. Take that quick. But I can't remember who it was. Fred's coming to my mind, but I know
it is Fred.
And they went, oh, we'll negotiate this and ask for a couple million more, and they got it. So it's already like, whoa, can't believe they're offering that. And they put a couple of million more on just to see what they could get from play hard, like pretend they really wanted to keep him. But the reality was they were laughing their arses off.
Yeah.
I think there was probably a little bit of that with Dortmund. We've rocked up and went, 23 million. They've gone, and we're going, I mean, no, a bit higher than that. Come on. Have you seen what he did in the Euros? Did you see him against Real Madrid in Champions League final? Good point, actually. 25. They've gone, oh, go on, man. I suppose so. We've got mugged off good and proper by Dortmund there.
I know. I just got to just say, because we were linked with Adeyemi, who's a really good player, and Mukuku at one point as well. And it actually reminded me of there's like a scene in Snatch, that old film you've ever seen, Snatch, where basically they go somewhere wanting to they go to want to buy a caravan, and I can't remember exactly. They turn up somewhere wanting to buy a caravan, but in the end they end up selling a caravan. And it all and it's hold on a second. They walk out. Hold on. Oh, it was us that wanted the caravan. And I think it's just sort of a little bit like that with the whole situation, really. Like we've rocked up, wanting this fast, tricky Karim Adeyemi who looks absolutely brilliant. It was like a Lamborghini of a player, and we've ended up with a rusty old Skoda, basically. And people, how the hell's that happened? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know those songs some fans sing that such and such went to where and they came back with a player or whatever? And the song's about, do you reckon we've got one? went to get Adeyemi and came back with a Fullkrug.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very odd. It's very odd, honestly. But they will look back on this period, particularly if this plays out as I suspect it will, with us buying him and selling him back for a massive loss off the back of us doing exactly the same with Scamacca losing 10 million a year before. They will look at this. They will make textbooks of how not to do a transfer. Of this, let's all laugh at West Ham trying to buy strikers. Then maybe that'll be a song. I don't know. But it's actually common knowledge. It's not even like a whispered secret. It's common knowledge now, and I think you could use any of them. Even Danny Ings is not the biggest example, but he's another one. Obviously people are going to Scamacca and Haller. Make no mistake about it. Fullkrug is going to be the next big one. I understand people might say you're negative, and I'll tell you what, I will absolutely. On this video, and if we do this video at the end of the season and he's knocked in loads of goals, and I will say, look, I'll hold my hands up there. I got it wrong. I didn't expect him to get back to fitness and stay at West Ham.
Yeah. I think that's the big concern, because I think he's a good player. It's just, well, it's in 2 weeks, it's December, and we've not seen him yet. And you joked about Zaza. There's every possibility that in 10 years' time, Zaza has more appearances for West Ham than Fullkrug does.
Imagine.
But it's true, though, isn't it? Like, because we don't know what's going on, and it's got to the point where Lopetegui's now sat in his press conferences saying, "I don't know when he's going. I don't know what's going on. I don't know when he's going to be back."
Not just him. The medical team. This come back. It was reported by the Standard, even the Standard yesterday. They don't know, so they're going to start exploring. Alternative remedies. Alternative remedies. That's not you sprinkling a rhino horn or a foot massage, a séance. They're gonna call the apparitions and the ghosts to him. They're gonna have a Ouija board to sort him out. I don't know what's going on.
Blend some spinach and nettles together and be like, drink this, son. That might sort you out.
Alternative remedies. Crikey, why don't you go and play him a song or something? Because the other stuff, the actual medicine. It's not going to work. It's not working. I haven't got a Scooby-Doo. What's going on?
I think it's brilliant. Lay on this bed. We're bringing in a witch who's going to suck out all the bad energy from you. You're going to be.
That's exactly
Leave
it.
his soul. Leave his soul. If you can hear me, take his soul. That's brilliant. Imagine being David Sullivan, calling in your doctor who's on tens of £1,000s a year at West Ham, like calling in the main guy at West Ham. My £25 million striker, right? We're not sure when he's back. What's the current procedure? What we're doing now? Alternative.
We're rowing him over to the Amazon rainforest to see a witch doctor. On the way, we're stopping off. He's going to kiss the Blarney Stone. Honestly, it's bloody ridiculous.
We've given up. We don't know. Yeah. This is now beyond. This is now beyond medicinal purposes. We don't know what to do. It's now time to pray that he's okay. Yeah. We've
seen a specialist. We've given him a rub. He's had a paracetamol. We've even sent him back to Germany. What happened there? Did you see this? We'd see the doctor. No, but he appeared on TV on a podcast. I mean, it's just a joke, honestly. Stick him in the wanky section. Brilliant. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
It's so West Ham. I think it's fantastic. Anyway, here's our final-ish tier list, unless there's any changes. So we've got nobody in a credible signing. We've got Wan-Bissaka, Summerville and Kilman in better than I thought. We've got Foderingham in the as expected, along with Todibo and Rodriguez, and then at the bottom there, we kind of have you got a receipt. We've got Guilherme, we've got Fullkrug, and we've got Carlos Soler. Is there anything you'd like to change or anything you disagree with?
No, a few too many in the refunds queue, to be fair, but yeah, there you go.
I would have Summerville in the tad as a point for reasons discussed, but in terms of as a player, I think he's a good player, so I'm happy with that. So there you go, that's ours. Get involved in the comments below. You've got the 9 players. Just let us know which category you put each player and why. Thank you very much for joining us, and a big thank you to James for the question. I enjoyed it. I always like a good. I like a tier. We love a good ranking here.
Oh, we certainly do,
don't we? If you've enjoyed it though, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammers Chat, myself and Gonzo. Catch you in a bit.